We'll take a look here at the review sheet. So, first thing, write the law of sines. Remember, that's where we go side A over the sine of angle A, big A. You got side B, and the sine of angle B, big B. Or you could have side C over the sine of angle C, which is big C. So use law of sines to find BC. So here's BC, we'll call that X. Go ahead, do your circles. We end up with X over the sine of 34 equals 7 over the sine of 102. We'll cross multiply. We end up with X times the sine of 102 equals 7 times the sine of 34, which is 3.91. I'll divide both sides by the sine of 102, divided by sine of 102, and that gives me that X equals 4. Find AC. So there's AC, X. So we're actually missing the angle we need with 14. However, if we do a quick calculation, 109 plus 34, that's 143. 180 minus 143 means that this angle right here is 37. And now we can go ahead and finish our pattern for law of sines. So we got X over the sine of 34 equals 14 over the sine of 37. And then go ahead and cross multiply those. So we have X sine of 37 equals 14 times the sine of 34, which is 7.83. Divide both sides by sine 37. And that gives me X is equal to 13. All right. Slide down to number 3 here. Find measure of angle A. So there's my X. So go ahead and cross those up again. So this time we have 4 over the sine of X. So X is now with the sine equals 8 over the sine of 75. That's all right. We'll still follow the same process. So we have 4 times the sine of 75 is 3.86 equals 8 times the sine of X. Divide both sides by 8. That puts me at 0.483 equals sine of X. And now we need to do the sine inverse to undo sine. So hit second sine, and we'll grab that answer, and that will be X here is 28.9. And find measure of angle A. So here we go again. We'll circle our two sides. We have 27 over the sine of X, right? Angles always go with the trig function, and then 28 over sine of 65. So 27 times the sine of 65 is 24.47 equals 28 times the sine of X. Divide both sides by 28. And that puts me at 0.874 equals sine of X. And then we'll take the sine inverse of both sides. So either arc sine if you're using Desmos, or second sine if you're using a calculator. And there, X is going to be equal to 60.9 degrees. If you rounded that to 70, I'd be okay with that. Write the law of cosines, right? So that's the one where we went blank squared equals blank squared plus blank squared minus 2 blank blank cosine of blank. This is the one to find sides. If we want to find angles, right, sometimes we'll be asked to solve for an angle. That's where we use cosine inverse of, we'll call it a squared plus b squared minus c squared over 2ab. And remember, c is really just the one across from x. C is across from x. It's not necessarily the little c. So find AC. We're finding a side length. That's where we use blank squared equals blank squared plus blank squared minus 2 blank blank cosine of blank. So 93.9. Over here will be x, and then we go 21.7, 9.3. Just put the other two sides in there. And we would literally type all that into the calculator. So 21.7 squared plus 9.3 squared minus 2 times 21.7 times 9.3 times the cosine of 93.9, and that is x squared equals 584.8. Take the square root of both sides, and so x equals 24.2. Find BC, so again, we're doing blank squared equals blank squared plus blank squared minus 2 blank blank cosine. Fill that one in, and we end up with, once we kind of plug everything into the calculator, we should end up with x equals 40.8. So I'll do one more where we got to go find the angle. So find the measure of angle B. So go ahead and circle 26 in B. And remember, this time we're looking for an angle, so we're going to do the cosine inverse. My recommendation to you, go ahead and put that minus there. And 26 is going to be the one that's at the end because it's across from x. That means 24 squared plus 18 squared go there. And we do 2 times 24 times 18. I would again recommend, let's just do the numerator first. 24 squared plus 18 squared minus 26 squared equals 224. And then 2 times 24 times 18 is 864. And now go ahead and type that into the calculator. So second cosine, 224 over 864. And so x equals, let's call it 75 degrees. All right, same setup, find angle C. So use the cosine inverse. We'll go ahead and put 23 at the end. And that should be 16 squared plus 30 squared. 2 times 16 times 30. And what we should end up with at the end of the day is should end up at 49.2. All right. So just making sure we're good. Are we supposed to use law of sines? Use law of cosines? Well, here, if we're going to find the length of AC, there's only one angle given. This is probably this is kind of tricky. We actually probably would want to use law of sines, but we'd have to find angle A first and then work our way back. So that's probably the trickiest one there, because law of cosines actually won't work because we're missing too much information. Unless, of course, let me go back. I just realized that 142.5 is angle B. I was thinking it was angle C. Looking at it now, to find angle C, actually that's the perfect setup for law of cosine, so I apologize. Ignore what I just said. I was thinking the angle's in the wrong place. Find angle C. Here we go again. This is the perfect setup for using law of cosines um, with that angle formula we just did. Find angle C here. So we put an X there. This one's got the perfect setup to cross those over, so that'd be law of sines. And then find AC. Here again, right? We don't have angle C right now, but we could get it very easily. 50 plus 20 is 70, which means this angle right here is 110. And so there again, we go law of sines. Right? To the next page, where we're actually going to solve the whole triangle. Right? This is where you have to do A, B, and C. Find all those pieces. So right now we've got angle B is 25. We got angle A is 67, and we've got side C is 26. To get angle C, 25 plus 67 is 92. So we'd subtract that from 180, and we can see that angle C is 88 degrees. So we've got one piece done. Now I guess maybe we'll go find angle A. So this is a perfect setup for law of sines. We can go 67, excuse me, A over the sine of 67 equals 26 over the sine of 88. And if we cross multiply and do all of our work here, we got A times the sine of 88 equals 23.9. Divide both sides by the sine of 88. Divided by sine of 88. So side A is 23.9. And then we could go get side B now. We could do, so B over the sine of 25 equals 26 over the sine of 88. And so again, b sine 88 equals 26 times the sine of 25, which is essentially 11. Divide both sides by 88, sine of 88, excuse me. Close my parentheses over there. And we realize that b equals 11. And again, biggest side angle is 88, biggest side is 26, smallest angle 25, smallest side 11. So that puts us in the right place. 14, so we got big A, big B, big C. And we got to find the sides as well. So right now we have little b is 18, little a is 15. We got big B is 71. The fact that we only have, well, we've got one already set up across from each other. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go get angle A. And then that setup leads perfectly into law of sine. So 15 over the sine of x equals 18 over the sine of 71. Cross multiply. So 15 times the sine of 71 is 14.18 equals 18 sine of x. Divide both sides by 18. So 0.79 equals a sine of x. Take the sine inverse of both of those. Here x is 52 degrees. So angle A is 52. Now using the fact that triangles should add up to 180. If I know this one's now 52, 52 plus 71 is 123, and then 180 minus 123 is 57 degrees for angle C. Right? Again, those three angles should add up to 180. And now it's just a matter of, I might use law of cosines just to remind you one more time, and that's law of cosines to find a side. So to get side AB, or little c, since we're looking for a side, I'll use law of cosine. So blank squared equals blank squared plus blank squared minus 2 blank blank cosine of blank. Well, 57 is going in the blank. That's C. And then 18, 15, 18, 15. And I could literally type all of that into the calculator at once. So 18 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 times 18 times 15 times cosine 57. And that is C is 16. So C is 16. All right, the area formula, remember that's 1/2 AB cosine of angle C. And so a couple quick practice problems. Why did I write cosine? That's not cosine. I'm getting ahead of myself. 1/2 AB sine of angle C. And remember, C is just the included angle. It's not necessarily C in the actual triangle. So here, maybe 1/2 6 times 11.3 times sine of 61. Here we do 1/2 15 times 7 sine of 83. Here we do 1/2 9 times 13 times sine of 116. And here would be 1/2 8.8 times 13.2 times sine of 106. Kind of ran out of room. And so those calculations for you guys will be, so those are all those measurements right there filled in for you. And then the last thing that we want to be able to do is come up with these equations, or draw the graphs for these equations. So first things first, the amplitude here, 1/3. The midline, we have nothing added to it, so that's y equals 0. So let's go ahead and draw the y equals 0 line. That's what we're going to move around. Since we're talking about sine of x, we're going to start right at the origin, especially since it's not shifted up or down. So start at 0. We'll call this 1/3, and that negative 1/3. Go up to 90, back to 0, down to negative 1/3, up to 360. Oh, I missed my point just a little bit there. But there's 21 or 22. Here we do shift up, so the amplitude is 2, and the midline is now y equals 1. So draw that line in there. Let's call this 1. All right. A big piece of this is just your scale make a big difference here. So there's our midline. And since it's cosine, we'll have to start up. Cosine in the clouds. Um, so you'll start up 2 from the midline. So that's actually going to start at 3. 90, we're back to 0. Now we've got to be 2 below the line, which is right here at -1. Back to 0. And then back up to 2 above the line. I'm having trouble hitting my lines here. Alright. 2 more quick examples. So here, the midline is actually going to be y equals -1. And then our amplitude is 2. So this time we're going to draw a line at y equals -1. And I'll just use my scale like it normally would be. And the amplitude is 2, so I need to, since this is a sine curve, we're going to start right at our quote-unquote origin, and then we go up 2 from the midline, back to the midline. We got to go 2 below the midline, and then back to the midline. So there's that one. And then one more example. Let's see, so our midline here is y equals 1, right, plus 1, and then the amplitude is 3. So go ahead and draw the midline at 1, and then everything from here is going to be, in terms of amplitude, is going to be based around the midline. So this is cosine. We're going to start, quote unquote, in the clouds. So we got to be 3 above the midline, which means we're starting 4 to the midline. Then we got to be at 180. We got to be 3 below the midline. So 1, 2, 3 below. 270, we're back to the midline, and at 360, we're 1, 2, 3 above the midline. And so there's your cosine curve.